I gotta wait? How long I gotta wait for a press record?
Go.
Welcome to the shed, where Miss Dream always has a story.
It's Dream, and we got a season 2. Your Black Bostonian here, a product of a single mother who I work to make proud every single day. I'm a 3-degree holder, your veteran educator, your tech entrepreneur, and founder of the Chair platform. My platform is dedicated to supporting Black and Brown people on their hair journey by creating hair boards, connecting to hairstylists, and sharing haircare tips for a more joyous experience. My podcast is about sharing hair stories, educator stories, entrepreneurship stories, and stories surrounding identity with goals to leave you laughing, learning, and advocating. So come in and listen to the stories in the chair.
Where we share stories in the chair.
Hello, beautiful people. This is Mariah. Mariah, can you please introduce yourself?
I'm Mariah. I am currently in grad school for my master's in social work, and I currently work at Bradley Hospital as a behavioral health specialist. And me and Mama Flint go way back.
So, Mariah, I call her Dwyer, which is her last name. We met at camp many, many, many years ago where I was a counselor and she was a camper. I was 18 at the time. She was 13. She was one of my kids, and she hated
Don't
camp.
hold back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she hated camp. Absolutely hated it. The memory I remember very starkly is it was a very hot day, a 90, 92 degree day.
I knew this was coming.
And she had she's from Taunton, right? So she had this black Taunton sweater with the orange mascot. And she
This
refused.
is my soccer
her
sweater.
soccer sweater, and she refused to
The
take
rep.
it off. Refused to take it off in the 93 degree weather. And as a camp counselor, you can't do that. Kids pass out, it's dangerous. But she refused. She fought all day about it. So I had to just make her drink lots and lots of water so she wouldn't pass out on me. And that was the beginning of our relationship. But she kept coming back every summer, which I thought was absolutely wild.
It was wild.
And she worked on staff. And then from there, we just ended up just building a real friendship. So this little white girl who refused to take her sweatshirt off is now just entering into the world of behavioral science, social work, education, residential work. And it's just pretty amazing to see how much she cares about children. So, Dwyer, did you always know you would get into social work?
I think the short answer is no, but kind of. So, I mean, working at camp, obviously, I found that I liked working with kids and always knew that I wanted to help people. That pretty much stemmed from working at camp, specifically working with children. I wanted to help them. But when I was entering college, I just really had no clue where to start, like where helping children would lead me as far as occupation wise. I tried out an internship in high school in a classroom, thought I could maybe want to be a teacher. Wasn't for me in the slightest. Teachers do a lot, was not for me. So that further led me to, I took my first psychology class in undergrad, and I really liked learning about kind of like what goes like underneath, like what we're all thinking and what goes into how we are as people. I feel like it kind of tied into what we dealt with at camp, working with really difficult campers, such as like what I used to be. Because it really makes you like think about like why people act the way that they act. When I graduated my undergrad with psychology, I thought I wanted to get a job in a school working with kids because I really didn't know where else I could work with kids other than a school. But that was right in the midst of COVID. So schools were shutting down. So I kind of panicked, had no clue where I was going to get a job. I'm like, oh shit, my loans are going to pick up in 6 months. I need money. I have no clue where I'm going to get a job. So I was just scrolling on Indeed all the time, found my way into the hospital, which, for those who don't know, Bradley Hospital is the children's psych hospital in Rhode Island. And I feel like that's what led me to social work. So that desire to want to help people was always there, but finding my way to social work was really directed towards being at my job and like working with behavioral kids that like really need help.
What is behavioral kids? Can you give some examples? Because when we think about camp, our camp, we had all types of kids. We had kids in foster care. We had kids from single parent homes. We had kids from divorce homes. When it came to behavior, we had kids who wet the bed. We had kids who were trying to fight the wall. We had all types of kids. We had cutters. We had kids who had the lowest self-esteem. So we had all types of kids. But that's a very different setting than residential and thinking about behavior kids. So can you explain what that is?
Mm-hmm. So you kind of pretty much explained a lot of it. It's just where I work, it's more intensified. So my program is kids come to us and they stay with us between 8 months and a year. They live with us. They do go to school. It's kind of like we refer to it as like a step down from inpatient, where like they're in a locked facility. However, they do get to leave. They get to go to school. They get to have visits with their families. So we're more or less trying to integrate them back into their regular lives. We get a lot of kids who have a lot of trauma history, whether that is with their biological parents or with their foster parents. Do get a lot of kids that have trauma from foster homes. We do get some kids who engage in self-harm. A lot of aggression as far as like hitting, kicking, whether that's objects or staff or each other. We get a lot of kids who are oppositional, defiant. It's like majority of our kids that we get. I would say this is probably like the least amount of kids that we get, but they are there where we get kids that are just super entitled and spoiled and don't like to hear the word no, and their families enabled that behavior by not telling them no because they don't want to deal with those behaviors. So that's like on the lower end. Like we don't really get many of those kids, but we have had them. And then we do get some kids with developmental disabilities. We've been seeing more kids come through our program who are on the spectrum or have some type of developmental disability. But it's really a range. We get a huge range of behavioral kids. That big umbrella of behavioral, which means so many different things.
So do you have a story about what keeps you there? Because you don't have to stay in residential. COVID is now officially over. So you can go back into schools, or you can think about nonprofit work that works with specifically certain types of kids. Why stay in residential?
That is a good question. So I actually did an internship last year in a school as a school adjustment counselor, and surprisingly, like, I didn't like it the way that I thought it would. It was pretty cool to see the difference of like level of behavioral as far as the hospital versus the school. I don't know what it is, but I don't know if it's the chaos, but like I really like enjoy being in the hospital setting. I also think that with residential, as far as like inpatient, our kids are with us for a really long time. Like 8 months to a year is a long time, especially for a kid to be without their parents. Like essentially, like we are their parents day to day. So I feel like the relationship that we're able to have with a kid that's in our program based off of how long they are there is just different because they're there for so long. Like we don't so when a kid comes to us, we obviously read their chart and their intake to get a sense of like why they're there and what their behaviors are, just so we know what to look out for. But you'd be surprised how many kids come with that long list of behaviors. And when they get to us, like sometimes they show all of those behaviors and sometimes they don't show any of them. So it's really cool to get like your own sense of like who this child like really is or why they probably act that way. Because you're also factoring, we also see the families. They do, the social workers on the unit do a lot of family work with the child and the family because essentially the goal is to reunify them to go home with their families. So when a kid first gets there, we call it like the honeymoon phase. Like there's majority of them come and they're like on their best behavior because they don't know us. They're in a new environment. They're still taking everything in. So we're like, wow, like in their honeymoon phase, like why are they here? Like they're acting great. And then you start to see little snippets here and there of behaviors, but then after I'd say probably like 3 months, you start to see why they came pretty much. But then after that mark, you kind of get a sense of, yes, they have these behaviors, but look at everything that they've been through. It just makes a lot of sense when you tie in getting to know their family and learning their history from them and not just a chart. But then it's really cool to be able to see like the turnaround towards the end. They start to really accept help. And this isn't for everybody that we get, but for some kids, like you really start to see them doing a better job in utilizing the skills that we teach them and the coping skills and learning about how their trauma affects them and how, they're going to learn to cope with it in a positive way and not a negative way. So I just really being able to build that relationship with the kids because there's such a long period of time. Although residential is a lot, like it really is draining because you're doing a lot of hands-on direct care, which will burn you out really quickly. But having that long period of time to be able to build that trust with a kid is really cool.
Where we share stories in the chair.
Look, it's my commercial. We will be right back.
It's more than just a bad hair day. It's a journey. Finding the right hairstyle isn't easy, nor is finding the right stylist or the right products. Looking in every corner of the web gets messy, overwhelming, and exhausting. All the ads, the articles, the products, the videos, it shouldn't be this hard, but it is. And now, it isn't. The Chair. A black and brown centered platform where you can design hair boards, connect to hairstylists, and share hair care tips for a new, joyful path on your hair journey. Avoid the clutter, save yourself hours, months, and even years of research and poor trial and error. Everything you need and only what you need is in one place. Hair boards made by people like you, for you. Find the right products, the right people, the right answers for you, stress-free. Join the Chair community and make every day a great hair day. When you share your pain, you allow others to help you. And when you share your success, you help others get theirs. Lean on the Chair. We got you.
No stress, no strife. In the chair. The chair. The chair. All right.
Do you feel like your identity has impacted how you approach care with kids?
Yeah, definitely. And this is definitely something we talk a lot about in my master's program, where you got to be okay with knowing that you're not going to be able to help everybody. And that's solely just based off of like, as a regular person, we don't get along with everybody we meet. There are many different reasons why, like, you as a person might not be the right fit for helping in my case, like a specific child. There are just some things that certain kids will want to open up to other staff members about based off of them being able to potentially relate to them, whether that's based off of what they look like or what they think, that even what a staff member wears. Like if some kids right now, we have this kid who loves one of these other staff members because they both wear like Jordan. So it really depends on the kid and how like they're feeling. Like I had this one kid when I first started, mind you, I was probably had been there like maybe a month, and this girl hated me. Like, and I had no idea why. Like I had barely been off of training. Obviously, I'm white, and this little girl, she was black, and she just did not like me. Like I could tell her, I could give her like a redirection and it would turn into a restraint. And if somebody else gave it to her, the same like redirection, like she would do it. And I had no clue like what it was about like me specifically that, just triggered her. And later on, we like as a staff were like trying to figure out certain like what it could be. And we realized, so her living situation, she did not live with her bio parent. She actually lived, her main caregiver was one of her family members, like best friends, was fostering her. And I'm pretty sure she adopted her, but she referred to her as her aunt. And I looked very similar to her. And so we made that connection where like the main caregiver that she has, that she may or may not have related to being taken away from her biological mother, she was relating to me because I did look pretty similar to her. So it's just,
you were a trigger.
yeah. And, we see that a lot. We have a lot of girls that come in who have trauma with men and cannot be with a male staff. Not necessarily can't work in like, we have lounges, like a lounge with a male staff, but will not be alone, like cannot be alone with a male staff because like they're super triggered. So I feel like identity wise, like we all have something different that just won't work for certain people that we're trying to help.
When did you recognize your whiteness growing up?
I would say, so I think that I probably noticed it at a younger age than what I'm like my first like real memory of it.
Okay.
Obviously, because that's like kids notice blatant differences. That's just how kids are. But I would say like my like real like first memory of recognizing race, I would say, was, so obviously, I grew up, my elementary years were in Brockton. I went to elementary school in Brockton. And when I was going into sixth grade, I moved to Taunton. And surprisingly, that is when I feel like when I recognized race. Like, so I grew up in Brockton. I went to school in Brockton. And
Brockton is very mixed, diverse.
yeah, like there were not many kids in my class that were white. And then I moved to Taunton, and pretty much 90% of my class was white. And I feel like that was the first time that I was like, oh shoot, like it's different here. Like I wasn't like used to it. But not that I had like, I don't remember living in Brockton and feeling, oh, and nobody looks like me. But then when I moved, I was like, wait, this looks different than what I'm used to. I don't know. It's kind of weird. Like you would think that maybe going to school in Brockton where it's very mixed and there aren't a lot of white kids, I would have a memory of thinking that. But it was more the switch that is like my first memory of not like recognizing something like that.
And how do you think your whiteness shows up today in your world of social work and residential?
Like I said, it shows up a lot. Kids generally like to, not all kids, but as people, we like to talk to people that can relate to our circumstances. We like to open up to people about, we like to open up to people that, might look like us. I would say the kids right now at my job, I would say it's pretty pretty even as far as race goes for kids, for the kids that we have. So I do feel like there are kids that feel more comfortable with certain staff members that are Black as opposed to me. And I think it's important as somebody who's in the helping profession, like you just learn to not take things personally, because that's it's just natural, like for us, you know what I mean? Like I feel like for people to be able to open up to somebody who might be able to relate to what they're going through, because I feel like it makes people feel more heard when they know that the person that they're talking to has potentially gone through the same thing. But in grad school, we talk a lot about being open and upfront about your race and recognizing those differences. Like a lot of people feel uncomfortable and kind of dance around the topic of race and differences. And let's say, like, if I'm your therapist, obviously I'm white and you're Black, and you might be talking about something that I have never gone through. But it's important for me to put that out there. I know that I'm white and this is not something that I've ever had to deal with, and kind of laying that on the table for us to both recognize, instead of dancing around what might be uncomfortable, but like putting it out there. That's like a big thing that like we talk about in grad school, is like recognizing that and talking about it.
The chair.
Oh, and if you're interested to learn more about my experiences as a Black woman and educator in Guangzhou, China, I wrote my first ebook titled Nowhere and Everywhere: Capture the Emotions of a Beautifully Broken Love Story. It is on lulu.com. Take a read and see some beautiful photography of mine. Enjoy the rest of the show.
The chair.
I do actually have a recent story that just happened, which there's so many layers to the job, which is what makes it so hard. We have this girl right now. She's 12. Such a great age. Lots of attitude. She is very challenging. We were doing activities with the kids, like minute to win it games, right? So a little background on this specific girl. She is in our program because she self-harms. Like fully, like we check her, do like a level 2 search before she even enters the bathroom, because we want to make sure she has nothing on her. She also is very oppositional, defiant, a lot of that too, but mainly she's in there for self-harm. So the other day, we're doing activities with the kids, like little minute to win it games that somebody else had planned. And have you seen, like, I see it a lot like during Christmas time, where like people will play this game where you put out like a bunch of like cotton balls on the table and you blindfold somebody and they have to like scoop them up and see how many you can get into a bowl in like a minute. So that was one of the things we were doing with the kids. And the staff were getting the activity together, and we put all the cotton balls on the table and we were getting ready to blindfold one of the kids. And she goes, "Wait, I have a joke, but it's kind of rude." And I was like, "Then we're not going to say it. Like, if you don't have anything nice, the golden rule. If you don't have anything nice to say, we're not going to say it." And then like a minute went by and she decides to say it anyways. And I heard her say it. And she goes up to, well, not that she went up, they were sitting next to each other. She went up to one of the kids who is Black, and she was like, "Hey, thanks for the cotton," talking about the cotton balls. And immediately, like, I just stopped everything. And I was like, "You're going to go take a seat and you're not participating in this game." So in a perfect world, I would have gone over to her and had a conversation with her about what she said, right? But in the chaos of having 6 behavioral kids in one lounge with 2 staff, and one of them had stepped out for a minute, I was in there with 6 kids by myself. So I separated her from the group because I didn't want her to participate after the comment she had made. I talked to the girl that she had made that comment to I checked in with her to make sure that she was okay, and we had a check-in. And again, this is where it's kind of hard because at the level that I'm at, it's the social worker's job to be checking in with the kids about certain situations like that, which is again why I've gone to school, so I can be at that level to be able to have conversations with kids about certain circumstances just like that. Pretty much I had to talk to her social worker, who would have to be the one to talk to her. So pretty much later that day, the kids were supposed to have a talent show, which was like this big thing. Like they had been practicing for it for days. Their parents come. It's like this big thing. And her social worker told me that we have this, like, it's called a pause program, where it's significant behaviors can get kids on pause and they have to spend a certain amount of time in their room and do repair work and all this other stuff. So her social worker told me that she was going to be on pause and she was going to miss the talent show. And this was as I was leaving, like for my shift, that she told me that this was going to happen. So I didn't see how it went down, her telling her that. But I'm driving home and I'm like just obviously like reflecting, like, all right, like you think about all of the different things that you could have done to handle something better. But then I'm thinking, like, okay, this girl, I was like pissed off at the comment she made. Like, I didn't even want to look at her. And she blatantly like was laughing, like thought it was funny and whatever. So I'm driving home like pissed, whatever. She's a kid, but still not okay. But then I'm thinking about like her background and how she self-harms. Like, how is her missing out on something that she had been looking forward to and her parents were coming to? Like, I'm like in the back of my head wondering, like, is this going to affect her? Because she has made progress with she hasn't self-harmed in a while. So I'm like, is this going to affect like her self-harming? Like, is she going to try to self-harm knowing that like she can't participate? Or when she later is spoken to about the background of what she said, whether or not I know she had prior knowledge to the weight that her comment made like was holding, I don't know. But I'm just thinking about all these different things. So it's crazy the amount of different levels to a situation, that behavioral, race, then the age, her being a child, just so many different factors that go into a situation. And as people, we try to do our best to handle them. They don't always go the way you want them to, but I think it's interesting to think about how all these different pieces like fit into what the helping profession does as far as social work and behavioral and residential. But that definitely came to mind when you asked about race, because there's not a guidebook on every situation you're going to come across, but you learn something new every day. You see it all when you work in residential, you really do.
For those who are entering into residential and they want to enter into the helping profession, what advice do you have for them?
I would say self-care is very important. It's easy to get caught up in especially because we're everywhere is short staff right now. It's very easy to get caught up in the hours and taking work home with you. But you have to remember to work on yourself and leave time for self-care. Otherwise, you're going to get burnt out. It's just going to happen. You gotta set specific time for yourself and doing things that's going to help you relax. And people think that self-care means going out to spend money on a meal or going to get a facial or a pedicure. Like, self-care can literally be anything. And that was one of the biggest things I think grad school has helped me with, because residential definitely has burnt me out, especially in times of COVID. And I've learned being in grad school that self-care can literally be putting your laundry away, like tidying up your space, like having a phone call with a friend. Like it doesn't need to be anything extravagant. So that's definitely something important to keep in mind.
Well, Mariah, thank you so much for sitting in the chair and sharing your experience with me. I really appreciate it.
Welcome to the chair, where Miss Dream always has a story.
Thank you for listening to an episode of The Chair. I'm going to share with you a dream of mine. I would love to be on Sesame Street. Sesame Street held my hand through childhood. In my dream, I would be in my big afro or rainbow braids sitting on the stoop sharing hair stories. I would like your help, please, by doing all the things like leave a review, share it with someone who would benefit from hearing this episode. And if you know someone who knows someone who knows someone at Sesame Street, share your favorite episode with them, and I'll make you some of my famous chocolatey hot chocolate. I hope you have a beautiful day, or if you are like me, still up in the middle of the night, I hope you take a deep breath and rest. Love you. Talk to you later.
The chair.
Hello. Please leave a message after the tone.
Dream, hello. I just wanted to tell you you're wonderful. I just got through going through your podcast. Love you, love you, love you, love you. Keep it up. Maybe I need to send it to Oprah and Tyler Perry. Love you, baby. You are great.
Where we share